Hi, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Rosewood Academy Leadership Live. This is the August edition. We have a special guest, Andrew Florence. He was with us a few times in the last couple of years, so we're excited to have him back and have his energy back to these meetings. So can't wait to have that. And as every meeting we do, we start with our why, and our why is to multiply the blessings and opportunities that have been placed into our trust. And please memorize that. Let's do that. We do it every Tuesday morning meeting as well. We do prizes and giveaways for that. So maybe next time I'll call somebody on this call to read that. And then moving forward, we go to our themes and our topics. And continuing on overcoming challenges on Q3, we are midway finished with Q3, and today we have Andrew Florence to talk and kind of go over innovate problem solving. As you know, one of our core values is innovate to elevate. And so, Andrew, floor is yours. Oh, Andrew, you're muted. You're good.
Man, we're going to get there. Thanks, y'all. I am less familiar with Teams, a little bit more comfortable on Zoom. It's really good to be with y'all. Those are all the words I was saying. I look forward to being with y'all and I'm excited to share on this topic today. I serve as the Director of Experiential Learning across our Communities for Children. I'm also a faculty member for the Center for Trauma Resilient Communities, which is our technical training portion of the organization. I'm also a adjunct professor at Elon University, previously an adjunct at Winston-Salem State University. So come to this from both practical perspective in practice, but then also have some educational pieces in here as well. And really, today is going to be a lot of hands-on. It's going to be a lot of practice. So blending concepts, both personal and internal creativity concepts with organization development concepts as well. Where we're going today, we're going to start off with 3 core creativity concepts and some practices that are going to go along with those. So we're going to start at the internal level with creativity concepts. Then we're going to take those concepts and apply it to innovation and into an organization perspective. So moving from the personal to the collective. From there, I'm going to pull in a book called The Power of Moments by Dan and Chip Heath, the Heath brothers. One specific example that hopefully will help us to think about when we're working with people. What are the little moments? What are the little pieces of where we can innovate? And then we'll take some time at the end as we're closing out and ending together for any question and answer. But as we're arriving, I want to hear from you. If you could, in the chat, I'm going to drop a link to a climber card poll. And so what will happen if you can go to that link and switch over to it. The climber cards are from Dr. Amy Clymer, who is she's a creativity coach and author based out of Asheville. And when you pull it up, if you click that link, or if you scan the QR code that's here on the screen, you're going to find all these different cards. So if you pull that up on the browser that you're on right now, or on the computer that you're on, you'll be able to see it. Or if you scan that with mobile device, you'll be able to see all these cards. And the question I want you to think about is to think about the role of creativity and innovation in your daily work and life, and then find the card that best represents the answer to that question. You'll click the card, write your name, and then a little description of why you chose that card. So you get your name in there, a description, and then we'll start to see, as folks are responding, we'll get to see what are some of these think about where does creativity show up for you, if that's a daily use in work, or if that's something that is more outside of work, that you have a creative outlet. What's the purpose of that? What's the role of it? For me lately, I have been for the past, I think, 3 months or so, been waking up very early in the morning, about as early as I can, sometimes / often before the sun is up. I've got a little farm homestead at where I live, and I'm spending that time getting my fingers dirty, getting my feet dirty. I'm spending time trying to take care of the place, and it's really quiet and it's very still, and there's lots of I'm very aware of all the things that are around me, all the sensory inputs. And so for me, thinking about that example, the role that the card that I picked here, the role of creativity and innovation is that it centers and grounds me. It centers and grounds me in my purpose and talents. Ah, love it. Thank you for responding, folks. Let's see. Kevin leading everyone in the same direction. Nice. Just keep swimming, swimming, swimming. John D picked the gears, said, I need to ensure tech systems work smoothly. Nice. Chandler picked the lines and the shapes all connected together. Kind of reminds me like a Tinker Toy. Connecting patterns, principles, and people to address opportunities and challenges. Kelly, the octopus is my spirit animal, always trying to do a million things and wishing I had 8 arms. Wouldn't that be nice, Kelly, to have 8 arms? Could do. How many more plates could we spin? Since I don't try to be creative with how I can get everything done. Cool. Beverly, creativity innovation helps me connect the dots in my daily tasks and activities at work. Nice. Beverly, that's a really cool visual with all the different shapes and how, sometimes we can feel like these different pieces are disparate or they're unconnected, but I appreciate that visual with these little yellow sticks. Taylor, I love the water and it inspires creativity and innovation. I've been spending a lot of time near the water this year. Nice. Yeah, there's a lot of really cool neuroscience behind that one, Taylor. If you get a chance to, if you've not already looked into it, look into blue space, green space and blue space. Really cool stuff about what happens with your nervous system around moving water in particular. David, sometimes the day can go in so many different directions that it requires a creative way to navigate it. Nice, yeah. That signpost is missing a couple boards on it for us to accurately reflect what the day might look like. Kellen, being creative is about patience and being okay with the time for real innovation to show up. Yeah, wow, nice. That's a beautiful visual there, Kellen. But sometimes it feels like, man, this is taking forever, and you can't rush it. It just takes the time it takes. Melissa represents the thought process and continual motion. Cool. Caleb, important piece of the entire system. Antonio, inspiration for neat marketing details we can incorporate across all our companies. Cool. Bryson, creatively identifying common ground to resolve conflict. Nice, yeah. Nicole showcases cultivation. Jennifer, place of reflection and calm that helps view the prior week in the past to start fresh each week. Cool, I like that. Meredith, find myself making use of every minute of the day lately to be able to get everything accomplished. Cool. Gotta think about how do we move and maximize and maybe challenge what's possible. Oh, this is so good. Thanks, y'all, for responding. I love seeing all your responses. Stacy, encourage and support the perspectives of others in the world to bring their innovative thoughts forward. Awesome. Sometimes we just need to have somebody else a sounding board, somebody else to reflect back what they're hearing from us. Jay, taking and creating inspiring content over and over again. Yeah, stack the rocks and maybe it's the rock pile has gotten too tall and it falls over. You gotta maybe pick it back up. Rosie starts with making a list or plan for new ideas to come to fruition. Alex, climbing a mountain to reach new creative heights, exploring new landscapes. Zach, creativity and innovation can formulate ideas that help you stand out. Cool. Yeah. Beautiful. Thanks, y'all, for responding. I'm loving seeing these and appreciate your input. And I hope that, too, that grounds us just kind of as we get into these next 3 creativity concepts, that it helps to kind of personalize and think about where do these creativity concepts, which can feel a little disconnected from day to day, where do they actually show up? So the first concept we're going to talk about is divergent thinking. The second is combining ideas, and the third is challenging assumptions. So the first one, divergent thinking, is the act of coming up with multiple solutions to one problem or coming up with multiple uses for one product. Now, this is one of there are dozens and hundreds of creativity concepts. These are the 3 that I've chosen to focus in on. Divergent thinking is the one that's really about coming up with ideas, and we're going to dive into that here in just a second. Coming up with new ideas and new different ways of thinking. Combining ideas is connecting similar or dissimilar concepts to create something new or original. And then the last is challenging assumptions, questioning the status quo to lead to new possibilities, new ideas, and new solutions. Let's jump into divergent thinking. Now, you were told, probably, hopefully, and maybe you're still told that there's no such thing as a bad idea, and it is true. And also, there's probably lots of times that you've heard somebody else or yourself share an idea, and you're like, that was a bad idea. That just like doesn't make any sense. So, in the spirit of maybe sometimes when our logic gets in the way of creative innovation, here are some really important guidelines for how we want to embrace and go into divergent thinking. First one is forego judgment. So if we can, in our brains, if we look at the center for, or the part of our brain that is where fear and our limbic system is counterposed to the part of our brain that's responsible for curiosity. So if we can embrace curiosity, often we're able to help our nervous system and help our subconscious parts of our brain and the conscious parts of our nervous system to calm down. So if we can just go in with curiosity and let me hear more about that. What's behind
Hello,
that?
Mr. Brian.
Say that again.
Okay. You're good. Someone became unmuted. Okay. You're fine.
Cool. Got it. The next one, come up with wild and crazy ideas. Do it. I dare you to. The next one, generate lots of ideas. As you can kind of free flow, as you can come in and just let it pour out of yourself, the more you can do that, the better. The next one is building on the ideas of others. The classic improv principle of yes and. The next one is play. As we get into adulthood, I find that oftentimes we get very serious. And you know what? I need to work. My life is about work now, and I also work with children and youth full time. And the thing that I love most about working with kids is that they remind me that everything is play. That's the work of childhood, is play. If we can find play, we can find that ability to shift and mold and make new things. And then really the last one is practice. And the way that we can practice, things that you can do on a daily basis to help support divergent thinking, are do familiar tasks in new ways, and then don't settle for the first right answer. So that first one, doing familiar tasks in new ways, my spouse makes fun of me often because I will take a different way home as frequently as possible. Now, that might be like just turning one block shorter and then, just like taking a different way, very insignificant turns. And still, what am I learning? What's happening subconsciously and consciously as I'm doing something that I have to do every day, drive to work, drive home, that I'm seeing new ways. I'm avoiding my neural pathways getting too set. And then that second one, don't settle for the first right answer. We can understand that, hey, sometimes we can come to a right answer, and that maybe is a good starting spot. What's next? What else might be there? One way that might be helpful to think about how to come up with divergent thought or how to come up with these ideas is using this scamper technique. I was first introduced to this in a design class in college. So it's SCAMPER, substitute, combine, adapt, modify, put to another use, eliminate, and reverse. And so if you think about a simple product, let's think about like an apple, or let's think about a simple machine like a wheel. If we started to apply these, the 7 actions right here, you might come up with a new thing every time. So our first practice in the chat, or if you want to say it out loud, I'm going to ask you to use divergent thinking and the scamper technique. What are other uses that you can come up with for a stapler? This is a common, you probably have a stapler nearby. And I'm going to challenge you. If you see somebody else put an idea that you were going to put in the chat, come up with a new one. A hammer. Yes, if you listen, John, once when I was much younger, I was actually not that, it was, like a decade ago. I thought everything could be a hammer, and I ended up using a can of spray paint as a hammer. Not the best choice. Did it work? Yes, and it made things more colorful. Side benefit. A paperweight? Yes. A lever? Nice. Yeah. Got like, my stapler has this little hinge on here that can open it up. Great. Inside the stapler, we've got staples. What are the different ways that you could use stapler? Got sharp bits on there. Kelly said a ruler or an edger, nice. Could you make a sandwich with this? Maybe. I don't really want to eat staples, but like, I guess could it be a panini press? Maybe. A secret hiding spot. Yeah, there you go, Bryson. Just so happens this is where I keep all of my hundreds of dollar bills. Nobody has cash anymore. Good. Hemming cloth. Okay, hemming clothing. Yeah. Great. A staple shooting game. Bryson, I like where you're going. I kind of want to try that out. After I'm done with this webinar, I am definitely going to set up like a little target across my office and start shooting staples to see if I can give myself some points. Okay. Mine has a mirror, sort of. I can I don't know if I can translate that over camera, but part of my my stapler has a little reflection. I could maybe see part of my teeth if I needed to see if I had something in my, I need a flosser. Great. I got some springs in here. Springs do lots of things. Using the staples as a pick. A door stopper, yes. Antonio, I think that's you. Could absolutely use this as a door stopper. How convenient, man. I mean, this oh, yes. You could turn it into a protractor. How many different angles can I get here? And can I transfer this angle from one place to another? In a hurry? Probably. It's got a little clicking noise. Like we just had the Olympics. What if one of the races started with, wow, that's some drama. Music, yeah, nice. Good. Really good. Great example of all the different things. When I've done this in the past, when I've taught this idea of divergent thinking, one of the things that I've done is that I've combined different objects around my office. So an example, I don't have it with me, but I took if anybody knows Scrabble, or like any of the board games where you have like a piece of a rack, just like a little stand almost. I took the little stand for the tiles, and then I hot glued a bunch of spoons onto it, a bunch of plastic spoons. And so it looked like almost like a line of catapults. And then I took, let's see, I took like a wiffle ball, a little tiny wiffle ball, and I had these little flexible, I don't even know what they were for. I think they were like twisty ties, but they were reusable twisty ties. And I poked them inside of the holes of the little wiffle ball. And I asked my students to look at these objects and to give me ideas for what is this thing? Tell me what this thing is used for. And there's no wrong answer. Then I got things like, well, the thing with the spoons and the tile rack was actually a feeder for a 7-headed giant. Awesome. And then the little wiffle ball with the little bendy, the bendy twisty ties was actually a robotic spider. It was really cool. Came up with some really creative ideas. Sometimes when we have things that are totally, we've got some set ideas for how this object is supposed to be used. When we have maybe something that makes no sense at all, maybe helps us to even more come into new and different ideas. Great job. We're moving into our second concept of combining ideas. And it can be said, could be said that all creativity is considered combining or adding to previous ideas. So some examples, your smartphone. I've got my phone right here. This is both a camera and a computer and a mobile phone and a ruler and GPS. It is an MP3 player. It's like 100 different things all in one thing. That's a great example of how all those ideas or all those different functions were just combined into one item. Wheeled luggage. When was the last time that you went to the airport and you did not have a wheeled bag? And especially if you have children like me, you know that carrying your bag and your children's bags over your shoulders through airport terminals is like, about as fun as watching paint dry, maybe even better. And that's just the combination of a bag and wheels on it. Yeah, the printing press, something that is responsible for, and it is largely attributed to Industrial Revolution. It's the combination of the coin punch and the wine press. This quote right here from Michael Michalko in the book Tinker Toys: when one drop of water is added to another drop, they make only one drop, not two. Anecdotally, when you add one concept to another, they create one product, not two. So when we think about combining these ideas, and we have practice here in just a second, you're creating something totally new. You've combined these two things. But when you combine the two, they're not two different ideas, it's one thing in the end. The benefits of when we combine ideas: increases our resources and leads to new possibilities. We make more perspectives available, and it creates unexpected combinations. So our practice here, go back to the chat real quick and look at this list of ideas that people came up with for a stapler. And now remember, we're combining two ideas to make one new thing. I want you to combine at least two of the ideas that were in the chat to describe a totally new object or concept. Remember that your ideas don't have to be realistic. You can create something that serves no purpose whatsoever. It just sounds cool. That's great. And also, if you can describe in the chat what are the two objects that you're combining, and what's the new thing? What is the brand new thing that you have just created? What's the function that serves? Some of the ideas again that you had a hammer, paperweight, lever, ruler, secret hiding spot, something for hemming clothing, staple shooting game, door stopper, using staples as a pick, a protractor, music. Kevin said a musical doorstop. I really like that. Like if we had something that was able to, I mean, it's it's reminiscent of when you walk into a store and it chimes. Cool. A musical hammer that plays every time you hit an object. Nice.
I'm gonna say stable shooting game that teaches you how to hem clothing.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is like really. I mean, that's like a like workplace, like like a trade simulation almost. That's cool.
Right. It'd be fun though. So
yeah. Ruler would help aid where to staple your hem. Cool. Great. Remember that it functionally a door stopper with security feature to shoot staples for unauthorized people. Like, don't come in here. It's gonna be mostly annoying that you're getting like pegged in the ankle with a stapler. But Get out of here. That's great. Remember, this is, we've got our divergent thinking, coming up with as many ideas as possible, and we've got our combining ideas. And that really is the principle of building off of what this is about collaboration. This is about hearing something else or within yourself, combining an idea with another thing to create something totally brand new. We're moving to our third principle, or our third concept here, which is challenging assumptions, which is about changing the way your brain thinks and creates openness, which allows for more creative thinking. So here in just a second, you're going to see some letters that appear on the screen. And in the chat, I want you to type one word that uses all of the letters that are presented below. So our first letters, D, E, D, N. What is a word? Great. Yeah, N, we got den. Yep, perfect. Nailed it. If we're counting proper nouns, Ned. How about now? Adding R. R-E-D-N. What is one word that you can spell with all of these letters? Great. Nerd. What did you call me? Wow, the nerve of you people. Okay. Great. Now we've got O. Nice. There you go. So we've got drone. Yeah, we could have, with just EDNO, we have node. Good. Doner. When it's like the step above when something's done. You go to Outback Steakhouse and they ask how well you want your steak done. You say doner. Redone. Okay. Or the reindeer. Donner. Yeah. That too. You know. All right. How about now? We've added a W. Good. Wonder. You're getting where we're going. Last one. How about added another O? Great. Yeah. Also Debbie Downer. We've got O-R-E-D-N-O-W. Can you get one word from this? With no missing letters. You got to use all the letters. Can anybody get no extra, no letters that are not in that line? Wooder. If you're from the Midwest, I think that's where they say water, like wooder. This one is slightly a trick. There's a learning lesson in here. We got O-R-E-D-N-O-W. This is about challenging assumptions. Take those letters, you move them, and you got one word. Oh my gosh, obviously. Wow. Obviously those letters spell one word. The answer was hidden inside the question. So here in just a second, we're going to watch a video about a really critical shift and a really critical assumption that was challenged that impacts all of us. And I want you to think about this question as we're watching it. What is an obstacle or obstacles in your day-to-day that might benefit from challenged assumptions? What are some of the maybe beliefs that we hold, or some of the things that we hold as truth or unmovable, that maybe if we challenge them, something might change? This is about the assembly line.
100 years ago, on October 1913, Henry Ford introduced one of history's great inventions, the assembly line. It transformed industry worldwide.
And the mass-produced Model T helped create the American middle class. Dean Reynolds went to Ford's original plant in Detroit to learn more.
The assembly line has always been an impressive mix of man and machine. What it looks like now is a far cry from a century ago when Henry Ford first embraced the idea, one that wound up turning America into an industrial powerhouse with a thriving middle class. Bill Ford is executive chairman of Ford Motor Company and the great-grandson of Henry.
Well, he had visited the meatpacking business in Illinois, and he saw there that the people were stationary and the product was moved to them. And he thought, well, why can't I apply that same principle to the car industry? So that's really where he got the innovation for it.
Until Ford's stroke of genius, his automobiles were basically custom-made trophies for the wealthy. That changed.
The assembly line did two things. One is it gave mobility to the average American, and the other is the employment in the plants helped create the middle class.
The process itself has aged well and continues to improve.
To build a quality car, you have to be able to have your operator be able to do it efficiently and to do it injury-free.
Allison Stevens is a technical specialist at Ford's ergonomic lab.
And you now are seeing 3D, and you are inside the computer looking at the design of one of our vehicles.
She showed us how, with 3D animation, she and her team can approximate an assembly line in the quiet of their office, testing parts and designs without the need to build an actual model.
You're seeing every fastener, every hole, every bend in the metal.
This virtual trial and error can tell Ford whether bolts turn, tires fit, or antennas are within reach to maximize efficiency up and down the actual line. Bill Ford likes that kind of thinking.
The assembly line's changed a lot in 100 years. It's still an assembly line, and that to me is really remarkable.
The proof of that can be seen in car after car after car. For CBS This Morning Saturday, Dean Reynolds, Detroit.
So, the assembly line, going back to this question, a little bit more context around the assembly line and that innovation, what happened. If you look back about the first kind of early historical marker of anything like an assembly line is from about the 12th century. Boat builders in Venice would send boats down channels, and that there were tradespeople who would work on the boats as it moved down this channel. Fast forward to to when cars were first being made here in the United States, and let's look at what was happening. And people had to stay with the car from the very beginning all the way to the very end. Henry Ford, again, that story, went to the meatpacking district, saw that the product moved through, the people stayed in the same place. So then shifting, combining an idea, taking an idea from somewhere else, looking at a totally different industry and moving it into automotives to create and to challenge the assumption that, well, the people obviously have to follow the product that they're working on. That's the only way that it can be done. Shifted, created the middle class, the American middle class, and made, has built a lot of the societal structures that we have now. So thinking about that, thinking about this idea of challenging assumptions, does anybody have an idea or anything come up for you about what obstacles in your day-to-day might benefit from a challenged assumption? Anyone willing to share what came up for you? Doesn't have to be monumental. Think about even just the minor inconveniences. What are some of the things that maybe could be benefit from a challenge assumption? While we're here, while you're thinking about it, another thing I wanted to share, another kind of idea for as you think about if you wanted to incorporate something like divergent thinking into your daily work, if you are in charge of people and you maybe want to use that concept to come up with some new ideas. This practice right here, the 100 bad ideas. I've used this with great success in teams before. This card right here comes from the facilitator cards, which were created by my friend Meg Bolger. She's up in Vermont. And the 100 bad ideas card, the whole deck is filled with different kind of facilitation techniques and practices that you can use. 100 bad ideas card is if you have a problem, sometimes if you start with bad ideas first and hey, you know what, let's come up with as many bad ideas that are to the problem that we have, can help to free up some of that, some of those ideas that we were talking about, or some of the guidelines for divergent thinking, the foregoing judgment and the play, can help us to lean into some of those guidelines and free up creative thought. Kelly said, anything that takes a long time but doesn't have much of a return in value, how can we do it quicker or more efficiently? Nice. John, manual tasks that need to be done multiple times. Yeah, John, we're in the era of a lot of automated work. What are some of maybe the systems that could be set up that that you skip some of the manual input and free yourself up period. Bryson, information overload. Cool. Y'all, we're going to take these creativity concepts, divergent thinking, combining ideas, challenging assumptions. We're going to move it to organization culture perspective. Quote to remind us and think about where this moves from the personal to the collective. This is a quote from Lou Gerstner, the former CEO of IBM. Culture isn't just one aspect of the game, it is the game. So let's think about remembering that our culture, the things that connect us, our values, the ways that we interact with each other, our way of being is what's going to get us far. We can have the best strategy, we can have the best ideas, but if we are not in a culture that works for us and that is connected, we're not going to get anywhere. So to think about where this might meet your work, there's this 4 Ps model of innovation. And so you can think about this, maybe helps to think about where these creativity concepts meet your work. You could have a paradigm innovation. So paradigm innovation is like a fundamental change. We're looking at big picture, total shift of something entirely that is intended to be or is thought to be the truth. This is the only way that something can be done. It's kind of bringing that challenging assumptions into this idea of innovation. It could be informed by a shift that's already being made. So let's think about telehealth and the rise of telehealth since the COVID pandemic. We see that doctors are able to help people a lot more, or we see that therapists are able to see patients or clients a lot more easily. So there's access to healthcare virtually for people who don't have means otherwise to get to healthcare. You could have process innovation. So this is change in how product or service is created or delivered. And that's primarily about optimization. So you can think about, John put the manual tasks that need to be multiple times or need to be done multiple times. How are we shifting the processes, the systems that we have in place that might change what's happening overall? We could have position innovation, so change in the context in the marketplace. So many examples there. A great one is Airbnb, a total shift of how lodging and hospitality looks. That people are the ones who are the owners of the lodging. Or you can look at ride sharing, total shift in the entire marketplace. A product, a new service or products or services, new or improved products or services. So that's really maybe often the one that comes easiest to us. What's a new thing that we can offer? How could we improve the services that we provide already? So think about that as we're continuing forward. Some different innovation models to think through what it might look like in different organizations. 70% of CEOs list innovation as one of their top 3 priorities, but only 16% of those same CEOs rate themselves better than their competitors. And that it often falls short because organizations are using the wrong innovation model, or there's not enough resources given for the model to work as it should. So these 6 models right here, there's lots of different ways that you can look at innovation, lots of different models, just like there are for creativity. This one I think is really helpful to think about archetypes or different ways that innovation can play out, and how, particularly in relationship to in an organizational perspective, how do you relate to the market, to your competitors, to your stakeholders, to your partners. So we've got the creator model, which is we know best, the solution builder, we're listening, leverager, we do it best, expander, seeking share to steal, trying to get as much as possible, defender, protecting our turf, and then fast follower, ready to react. And you can see some examples of organizations, businesses that fit into those innovation models, just to get an idea of where those fit. And maybe that helps to kind of understand how those practically look different. Now, an example, let's look at this practically, just zooming in on one organization. Southwest Airlines has long been looked at from an organization perspective as kind of one of the top dogs. They do it best, and that's largely because of their employee-first culture. Often, people like to work there, and they're written about in lots of organization development textbooks and studies. Some of the data behind it: lowest number of customer complaints, highest employee retention, and years of consecutive profitability, because that employee-centered culture drives ownership and accountability. Now, in 2022, things got a little rocky for Southwest Airlines. If you remember it, you remember that it kind of was like, oh, so things are not as good as it seems. And if you don't, now you know. There were lots of complaints, years of complaints that started to surface and bubble up, and things started to get a little rocky. The flight attendant union's president said the many years of failure by management, despite many unions' demands to modernize, has left flight attendants fatigued, stranded, hungry, and cold. And where that broke down, where the culture had started to have some gaps, was in consistency and adaptability. What happened was not like they needed to totally redo everything in their culture, but they did need to refresh. They needed to create, sustain, and leverage a clear and aligned culture. Let's look at what happened next. 2023, last year, they were ranked as the top innovative company in the United States based on product, process, and culture. They're still doing it. And the things that you can see here, the advancements that they made that earned them that award: enhanced Wi-Fi connectivity, larger overhead bins. Oh, again, if you go back to wheeled luggage, if you try to fit a suitcase inside an overhead bin, it's tough sometimes. And it's like, how is anybody supposed to get anything on this plane? Policies eliminating expiration dates, new airport signage to better help travelers navigate airports. And then this one I think is maybe the most interesting, or maybe the most applicable: innovation stations where employees could engage in the traveler experience and identify challenges and solutions on site. So in the moment, they see, ooh, you know what, this customer just had a bad experience. I'm gonna see a solution. I can report that, and it's getting it's getting feedback. We're creating those feedback loops and systems. So that's just one example of where you can see this organization, that innovation is not going to solve everything, but for Southwest, it continued to drive where they are. And you can think about it in these 3 steps: that they've assessed the culture, they followed the data, and they tested against their strategy. Our last section: this book. Has anybody read this book, Power of Moments by Chip and Dan Heath? Drop something in the chat. Give me a thumbs up if you've read this book. It's a good one. It's a quick, easy read. Talks about what are, as I find it interesting that talking about moments. What are the things that make things significant, or what are the things that make our experiences stick? And it falls into these 4 categories that they break out: elevation, insight, connection, and pride. And so within those 4, you've got building. Within elevation, you've got building peaks and breaking the script. Insight, tripping over the truth and stretching for insight. Connection, creating shared meaning and deepening ties. And then pride is recognizing others, multiplying milestones, and practicing courage. We're only looking at elevation for today, as we're looking at innovation. So over here on the right, you've got an image of the popsicle hotline. This comes from the Magic Castle Hotel, which is in Los Angeles, California. And it is an otherwise fairly unremarkable hotel. Next to the pool outside, there's this little sign, and there's this red phone. And if you pick it up, someone answers, and then you get to ask them for a popsicle, and they will come out with a tray with your popsicle on it, and they'll deliver it to you right at the poolside. And so there's this thing that's totally unexpected that that has all this boosted sensory appeal that is a total. I had no idea that this was going to be here. It's a surprise, something that was different, that created something new for their customers and also for their employees, gives this this moment of joy. So when we look at building peaks, that's really about how do we create those pinnacle moments. Some of the things that they talk about in the book is that people remember our peaks, the highest moments, and then the end of your experience. It's the peak end rule. You don't remember that your experience is not the sum or the average of all of your experiences or all the different moments. It's the peaks, the highest moments, and then how it ended. So to create those peaks, you boost sensory appeal and you raise the stakes. So with the popsicle hotline, there's this that sensory appeal of the taste and of the surprise, what it feels like, what it sounds like, raising that sensory appeal. Breaking the script. So the kind of 3 intervals that they talk about are transitions, milestones, and pits. These are the kind of the best moments to elevate. Transitions are when we, think about when you move from one job to a new job, or you move from one place to a new place. Transitions oftentimes are, we miss those things. We miss those moments to ritualize them and to make effect. Milestones. Maybe you have your 100th customer that you worked with, or your 100th contract, or it is your 1000th day of working at Rosewood. Those milestones that help to kind of honor the passage of time and that elevate the moments and help to create something new and different. And then our pits are those moments that are maybe the challenging ones. The popsicle hotline, and this is really important with all kind of elevation, is that it might sound like it's a simple surprise, and it's not the same. Breaking the script is not just a simple surprise, it's a strategic surprise. So a great example that they gave is that there's a coffee shop that every month their employees are given a certain amount of money or of coffee and food that they can give away for free. So at any point during that month, they can, this customer was extra nice, they can just give it away for free. Wow. So there's this strategy behind that to honor their customers and also to give their employees something to feel really good about. So if you could think about some of the ways that you could have your own version of a popsicle hotline, or something that like builds a peak moment for your customers, for your stakeholders, what would that thing be? Or if you already have something that's a peak moment for your stakeholders or your employees even, what are some of those peak moments And then what's the impact of that peak moment? Drop it in the chat. You can come up whatever way you want to share. Peak moments. How do you create them? What does it look like if you already have them? Just kind of the culmination of all these different concepts of bringing in creativity, bringing in innovation from a cultural perspective. What's the impact of these moments, of these rituals? Here's some examples of how you could build some peaks. Kelly said, our shout out board gives a place for everyone to see us appreciating each other. Nice. Cool. Bryson's echoing that one. Nice. Express gratitude to others and the impact is feeling appreciated. And the parking spot. It's capitalized. So that tells me, I mean, if it's proper noun, the parking spot is coveted. I want the parking spot. The honeypot parking spot, what? There's a story here and I have to know.
So yes, we created a parking spot right outside our front door. That gives pretty much easy access to get into the building without having to park, far away. And we do a weekly giveaway for that spot for anybody who participates or joins our Tuesday morning meetings, and then we announce it the following week, and then that person will end up getting it for a week.
Nice, cool. Mm-hmm. So then you're incentivizing the impact is that you've got people coming to a meeting that otherwise maybe that sometimes, I got other stuff I need to do on Tuesday, or gosh, I gotta do. Yeah, you start to look forward to it. You're attending, you want that parking spot. There's kind of some maybe underlying competition almost. Great. Keep thinking about it. Think about what are maybe some ways to build peak moments and to break scripts, challenge the assumptions, create those peaks to change what happens on your day-to-day basis. Beautiful. Y'all, we're getting close to the end. I want to make sure that if you want to know more about Crossroad Communities for Children, you can follow us on social media. We are across the western part of North Carolina, kind of from Greensboro as far west as you can go, child welfare sphere, supporting children and family across the state. And you can keep up with the work that we're doing. We're doing a lot of innovative and really important stuff to support kids and families, and would love to have your support. It takes a whole village. We're constantly trying to build that village. And as we're closing out, I want to make sure that there's time for questions. If anybody has a question or just a reflection on all the different concepts that we've discussed today.
Any questions, everybody? Looks like you did a good job, Andrew.
Sweet. Y'all,
I
thoroughly enjoyed being with you.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for joining the August Leadership Live. Yep, we'll put your name in we also do an incentive where you join. We've split these up in quarters, as you saw in the beginning, and if you remember, we do a incentive. If you join these three, you end up at PIN. You would collect all 4 pins at the end of the year. You end up getting some prizes and a certificate for completing the Leadership Live for the year. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Andrew, for the presentation. Really good material. And thank you for getting everyone engaged and participating. So that was really neat and cool. It's always a fun one with you.
Thanks, y'all. Good to be with you. Have a great day.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.